Welcome back to another episode of Lawyer Up and to the Right. I'm joined here with my co-host Cesar Cobo, and today we're going to be talking about something that's generally not on the radar of most of the law firms that we work with, and it is a simple concept that can dramatically improve the organic performance of your content, but also the trust and the conversion value and the overall site quality of your law firm's website site, and that is EEAT. Let's get into it. What's going on, Cesar? How are we doing this week?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
Good. I see you got the new office background. How's that going?
It's good. Definitely feel more productive being in office.
Your second child took your office. Is that?
Yes, and sanity for that matter. But yeah, it's like I said, it's much more productive, a lot more quieter. So loving it so far.
Good. Getting your adulting back on. So this is a concept, Cesar, EEAT. It used to be EAT, but there was another E added in front of it. Let's just start very simple. What is EEAT? Can you define it for us?
Yeah, so it stands for expertise, authoritativeness, and trustworthiness. And it's essentially Google trying to establish credible sources when it comes to who it shows in their search result pages. And I think given the times that we live in today with the popularity of AI generated content and how good it's getting, whereas before content was pretty obvious whenever it was done by a bot, that isn't so much the case now. And in many cases, it's better than what a human can do. And just a lot of misinformation and disinformation out there. These tech companies have a lot of pressure on them from government, political factors to make sure that they're not causing harm to people. So this is something Google has baked into their algorithm. It's something that they give their quality, their manual quality raters. And there's a resource out there if you were really interested in knowing exactly like what goes into it, that you can read up on it. But essentially it's how trustworthiness your site is, and there's many signals that they look for both on page, on site, and off site as well.
You talked a little bit about the why too, but specifically for law firms, why is this becoming so important? So obviously the dawn of AI, more content being generated, but how does Google use these factors to determine AI content, non-AI content, or just kind of like overall, what are some of the things that Google looks for?
Yeah, so the reason why it's especially important for attorneys is because the websites that are most impacted by this are what Google refers to as your money, your life. So the acronym YMYL. So, legal advice is obviously something that can have a major impact on someone's lives. So the content that you have on your website matters. The accuracy of it and how Google interprets it and believes it to be authoritative is very important. So it's something that can definitely have an impact on attorney websites.
And as we come in, because I think this conversation becomes increasingly important as AI continues to, and I say continue to because we're really just at the beginning of AI content, right? AI is a whole thing, but specifically AI content being handled in search engines, just kind of fast forwarding a little bit. And as AI content gets even better and better, right? Like, how is it that this concept of expertise and authority, how can we actually build that and prove that to Google? Because if we think about it, right? Like if AI is generating content, it's going to be pulling content from everyone who's also an expert and authority, and probably at the highest level possible, right? So how is it that Google determines this, and how is it that we can actually stand out as authors, whether we're using AI or not? But essentially, how do we become a trusted expert authority with Google?
Well, I think the solution here, and what anyone who's a business owner or website owner should be striving for, is to make sure that they're considered the entity. So if you're an attorney, you are the entity. It's not your website. Google, they don't care about businesses. They care about businesses don't create content. In other words, people create content. So the more that you can give Google the signals that they're looking for, that what you're talking about, is really what it comes down to, is that what you're talking about, your peers respect your knowledge and what you bring to the industry. Those are things that over time will help establish your website as being an authority in the space. And a good example of this sometimes is I hear, and this is not just attorneys, obviously, this could be for anyone, they say, well, how can this page be ranking ahead of me? Or why can I not outrank this page when my content is better? And there could be many factors for that, but one of the biggest factors could really be just that Google just doesn't trust your website. Google just doesn't trust what you have to say, even though it could be better and it could even be more accurate than what's currently ranking. But that's where this sort of thing becomes important.
So what are some specifics that law firms and attorneys, as you said, not the law firm itself, but how do we build, like, what are the signals that we can send to Google? What are the things that we can do to build this expertise? Is there anything we should be doing on the website, off the website? Talk to me about some of these factors.
Yeah, so some of this stuff is not entirely in your control, but there is a lot that is. So let's talk about things you can do on your website that is 100% fully in your control. The first thing is just having a good looking site. And I don't mean that by, you have to have an amazing design or anything like that, but you want your website to look the part. You don't want to have a site that looks outdated, that just people go to the site and just bounce right off of it. So you want to have a site that's easy for users to engage with it, for users to be able to find the content that they're looking for on your website, that they can easily contact you. Things like an about page is often overlooked on most websites, but for an attorney site, it's really important that you have a good, robust about page talking about your firm, talking about the attorneys that are also at your firm. Show images, show that you're a legitimate business, and that's really the about page is a good opportunity for you to sort of pump your chest a bit and show what your credentials are.
Okay, so when it comes to the content also as well, because EAT is tied, as you said, to this entity, this authorship. What are some of the specific things, some additional specific things that law firms can do to help with this EAT score?
Yeah, so authorship matters. So it's good to have author pages, and on that author page, list any other popular industry related websites that you've been published in. If you have peer reviews, link to those things. If you have listings on very high industry related directories, especially if they have good reviews on those directories, you want to link to that. Basically, your author page is a way that you're establishing your credibility as an individual. So the about page is more about talking about the business or the firm itself. Author pages is where you're doing the same, but you're doing it at an individual level. Another thing with content is having rich media, having good, clear pictures, if it's relevant, obviously. If you're doing video, which is something you should definitely be doing, incorporating that into your on page as well. Those are signals that Google can see if you're getting traffic from YouTube. And if you're creating video, that's almost like one of the more legitimate things that you can do to say, hey, I'm actually a person. I'm not just hiding behind my website. I'm getting in front of the camera. I'm talking to my audience. I'm answering questions. It helps build up your legitimacy as a website and as an individual.
So in terms of, these are all on-site things though, what about, is there anything off-site? Like, for example, if, you're featured in a law journal or even like Forbes or something like that, does that help with EAT? And how can we associate our kind of authorship or our content with those off-site things?
Yeah, especially, if you're not doing a whole lot of off-site branding, for example, if you're running tons of commercials and you're spending tons of money on paid search, well, you're gonna generate a buzz, you're gonna generate a name. But short of doing that, you just want to be proactive about getting covered. So in the beginning, you might have to do some proactive PR campaigns in order to get picked up and to get placed on some of these bigger, more popular websites where they might offer you and to write something for them, or they might just mention you in a quote, or just mention your law firm in a story that they're working on. All of these things are, as I mentioned, they're not totally in your control. It's something that's off-site. Links is another good way of establishing your authority and trustworthiness. So again, off-page factors, but there's things that you can do proactively to try to acquire some of these links or some of these mentions.
So we covered quite a bit here, Cesar. Is there anything else kind of in the leftover bin here that can help with the EAT stuff?
Yeah, a couple of other just like extra things to throw in here. So reputation control is also very important. So make sure that you're staying on top of your reviews, what people are saying about you, not just in Google, but on any directories that you're listed in, on YouTube if you're making videos. Just make sure that you don't have any sort of bad reputation hanging around there, and if you do, then address those things and do your best to make sure that that's taken care of. And then on something on a more technical side is there is a way that you can help Google with determining these signals or interpreting these signals, which is called schema markup or schema structured data. So it's metadata that goes on your website, and you can go in and give Google more information about things like authorship. So there's a person schema markup, there's an organization schema markup, there's a local business schema markup, there's a review schema markup. So there's all of these different things that you can add as metadata to your page that's going to help Google when they crawl your site to have an understanding of who you are and what the content is on your website and why they should consider you as a trusted source.
Awesome. Well, as always, Cesar, I appreciate your time. And if any of you law firms, lawyers, attorneys out there need any help with this type of stuff, this is obviously what we do. So hit the link below. There's a link that will take you to a Calendly page for you to book a time to talk to one of us and see if we can help your law firm grow and get more leads organically. Until next week, Cesar.
All right. Till next week.